Just a quick reminder that if you want to support Concepts and Legends, please remember to like and subscribe. And you can also show your support by using our TCG affiliate link for any and all of your Magic needs by using the link you see here or below in the description. Any and all help is greatly appreciated and helps us bring you more videos like the one that is starting right now. What do oil, chainsaw massacres, and the Dixie Chicks all have in common? They're all from Texas. But more importantly, it is also where today's interview subject hails from. His first officially printed card debuted just a few weeks ago in Commander 2021. So please enjoy my interview with the soon-to-be legendary MTG artist, Jarel Threat. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Oh, no problem, Aaron. I appreciate the invite. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, okay, you got your start, you studied at the Ringling Museum?
Ringling College.
Ringling College. That's right.
It's pretty much
same family.
Not the same person, yeah.
And that's close to where I am. I'm in Naples, so that's in Sarasota, right?
Yeah, it is. Okay, yeah. I've been to Naples a couple times.
Yeah, it's pretty wild here. You know, like lots of craziness.
Yeah.
So where are you from originally?
I'm originally from a place called Sugarland, Texas. It's about 15 minutes outside of Houston.
Okay.
And that's where I grew up and everything. But I was originally born in Seattle, Washington.
So I was gonna say, where when you have an accent, if you were from Texas?
I guess it depends on where you are.
Okay.
Sometimes some people from here do, some people don't. I think it might be because that I came from Washington, because I lived in Washington for like 3 years from when I was born. So when I came down here, I had an accent from up there. So I guess it kind of mixed with the Southern accent and it kind of balanced itself out. So I don't really, certain words I say have like a Southern twang to it, but
what would be some of those words? Because I love this.
I have no idea. It's just sometimes I'll say or I'll be in the middle of a sentence and it'll come out, but most of the time it's pretty like normal, I guess.
Yeah, you got the Midwest sounding, and you generally take after what your parents sound like, basically.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting too, because both my parents are from the South too. My dad's from Georgia, my mom's from South Carolina.
Oh wow, they definitely have accents then, I'm sure.
No, they don't either.
Really?
Actually, like I said, it's weird, but it's weird because my grandparents have accents, have a Southern accent, but my parents don't. So
yeah.
You know,
maybe like you know how there's the whole adage of people like trying to train their accents out because it's the way people view them.
I have no idea. I think it's I honestly have no idea, to be honest with you. It's just something that just happens, I guess. Maybe because of who you grow up around, maybe, or something like that.
But, so what do you think, I mean, what drew you to I read that, or not read, I heard that you had got into the Ringling College, but you had to be admitted under animation because you had missed a deadline?
Okay, so this is what happened. So I initially was going to, like, growing up, I wanted to be an animator. So that's why I was gonna go to Ringling. Ringling has one of the best animation programs in the world. So that's where I wanted to go. And so I admitted as an animation major, but it was during spring break. And I got a call from the admittance office saying that I had passed the deadline for animation. But she said what you can do is you can major as an illustration major because they have the same course load for the first year, and you can switch after the first year. So that's what I did. But my second semester of my first year was the first illustration class I had. And once I took that, I was like, I really like this. I might just keep this. So that's kind of how it happened.
Okay, so you basically kind of like you accidentally discovered what you have now been turned into a career.
Right, exactly.
That's fantastic. I mean, I wonder, do you send that administrative person like some flowers or something? Be like, thank you.
No, I don't. But I don't know. It's just, I guess, honestly, I probably was gonna do it anyway because I liked animation, but I wasn't really into 3D. So I was probably gonna switch to illustration after like the first 2 years, because I think the first 2 years is mostly 2D animation you learn. And then like third year and up, you learn 3D. So I was like, I was probably gonna switch anyway, but I guess it got me like a head start
And what is it
on my
about
initial one.
illustration that made you like hook into it? What does it make you feel when you do an illustration?
Um, it's like initially it was like animation stills because I used to see, well, still kind of do, because I was gonna go into animation. I always saw things in my head as a movie,
Hmm.
and illustration allowed me to actually pause the movie in my head and then take that image and then transfer that onto a surface. So that's initially why I was hooked on it. Over time, it became more of a, I wanted to really, I guess it was the fascination of painting in and of itself later on that that kept me hooked and really trying to master that aspect of it and the storytelling, the compositions, and stuff like that. And like, honestly, I'm starting to link back into animation a little bit because I'm doing comics now. So, it's comics is kind of like animation, but on like a still basis, still image basis. So it's still, I think they're starting to link together again.
Right. They're sort of like comics are just like a very fancy version of storyboarding.
Exactly. Yeah. So it allows me to actually have my illustration work and that aspect of telling the story in a sequence as well. Instead of just relying on one single image to tell an entire story, you have all of these images put together to tell the story, which I actually quite enjoy.
And when you were in school, did you start to discover the artists that you later discovered were Magic the Gathering artists, such as Donato Giancola and
Uh, in school, no. In school, I Well, what initially got me into fantasy art as a whole was I was in sophomore year. And sophomore year, every illustration student takes the same class, which is history of illustration together. And we were going through all the different artists, the DC line deckers, Howard Piles, Dean Cornwells, and so on and so forth. And then it got to a Frank Frazetta piece.
do you remember which
Uh,
piece it was?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the piece, but it's the woman with the two tigers. She's holding the two tigers, and the tigers are lunging. Like that's the
Yes.
piece I saw, and I was like, that because up until that point, I knew I liked illustration, but I didn't know where I was going to take it because I was kind of all over the place initially in illustration. But when I saw that image, I was like, that's what I want to do. Like that's it right there. So after that, I went to the library and I pretty much checked out every Frazetta book I could find. And from there, it kind of branched. Uh, I got into Brahm really a lot as well as
Hmm.
a branch. And then I kind of went backwards in time to the Rembrandts, Rubens, Vermeers, and people like that. But I didn't get into magic arts until after I graduated, probably around 2013, probably around that time. That's when I found Donato. Uh, when I found his work, and then it kind of I found his work, and then this is when Blogspot was really a major thing. So I found Matthew Stewart, Chris Ron, uh, who else was I looking at? Eric Wilkerson. Uh, see who else was really on it. Steve Bellenden, he
Hmm.
had a really good one too.
Yeah.
Really nice blog spot where like he was the one that actually was showing how magic worked. Where you get the sketches, you make the sketches and you whittle them down and the process that actually goes into it way back then, like 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
So
Very
like
early.
yeah, very, very early. And it was something that a lot of artists didn't even talk about. So like I learned a lot back then. And then after that point, I was like, wound up figuring out that oh, all of these artists do work for Magic. I was like, but this is cool stuff. So like, So I made it my goal to eventually do work for Magic. So, and
Okay,
here I am.
Eye of the Tiger. So how did you apply to be mentored by Donato, or how did that work?
It's actually through Smart School, which is a mentorship program that happens every, well, they divide it into semesters. So, or terms. So I think it's like 10 weeks, 10 to 12 week mentorships at a time. And you pay to get the mentorship. You're in a class with, it can be up to like 8 to 10 people. Uh, but a lot of the time, at least the times that I did it, it was never that big. It was always like the first time I did, there was like 3 to 4 people in it.
Hmm.
So you really got a lot of one-on-one time with Donato. And yeah, so that's really how I got uh with him. Cause prior to that, I was doing a lot of self-study kind of work. I did a lot of schoolism, did a lot of classes of schoolism. I did a little bit with Watts Atelier online uh, back then too. So I was just trying to find something, and I found that Smart School would be a great in between. You get to learn from a master of the field while also having the opportunity to get your work in front of different people, art directors and such.
Right, right. And do you think that with working with somebody in that kind of situation, I'd imagine that influences you heavily as an artist?
Absolutely. Like I say this a lot, but like Donato is a genius.
Oh, he's
And
great.
I
He's
don't
great.
say that, I don't say that like he is like I've never really met any artist that is has like the perfect solution for everything. No matter what the style is, no matter what the issue may be, like he has a pretty much perfect solution for it. And his vast knowledge on not just fantasy art, but just art as a whole, you know, sculpture, modern art, just anything you can think of. Like he has a really vast knowledge of it. And learning, and it's really cool because in his class, he would have a lecture and then a critique class. So there would be a class where he mostly does a lecture, and every lecture he goes into things like color mixing, how he mixes colors, how he sees colors, compositions. He uses like photographers and uh, Chinese artists to show how different compositions actually link together with modern artists as well. Uh, Things like how to use reference, how to make preliminary drawings, uh, paint application, just on and on. It's like you go through a lot in that period of time, and in learning from him while doing the piece, also and like really firms up your understanding of really what it is to be an illustrator. And it's also funny too because he also shows like some of his pieces that no one really sees, like his bad pieces. And like people would think like he doesn't have bad pieces. He got some pretty funny bad ones. And it's pretty, it's like really humanizing. Be like, yeah, like he doesn't put out like the Middle Earth stuff all the time,
Right.
but it's just like, you know, like sometimes you gonna have to pump some stuff out. So that's the reality of being an illustrator is like sometimes you're going to be under tight deadlines. You can't get like that stellar finish, but you need to get the work done. So you're going to have to put out this work. So like, yeah, it's just, yeah,
Yeah.
learning from him has been amazing.
And I had heard, or I read that he pushed for you to get noticed in the game of Magic.
Yeah, yeah, he did. So this was my second semester with him, and I had done a piece called Alchemic Relic.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, and for the class, that was the first assignment in the class, if I remember correctly. And I remember when I finished it, he said, "This is really good. You know, this like we need to get this in front of Magic." And at the time, I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "Yeah," but I was thinking in my head like, Oh, he's just saying it because it's a good painting and it's nice, and I might have to get a couple more pieces done first to actually show the magic. So I just took it as a really good compliment and just left it at that.
Complete
And the
denial.
class wrapped up. Yeah, I honestly just wasn't aware that that's what he was gonna do. And so like I think the class wrapped up in it wrapped up in early January, and then January 20th, yeah, January 20th, I got an email from a video who was an art director at Magic. And he emailed me saying, I saw your work and thought that you would be perfect for Magic. And then I was like, huh? Since what? Huh? Why? And then I was like, so then I got my composure together. I remember I was like, you need to ask him where he found your work. So I asked him like, well, where did you find my work? He said, oh, Donato told me about you, and so I went to go look at your stuff. And he's like, yeah, your stuff is great for this. I was like, huh. So
Wow.
I had no idea that he was actually serious about really like reaching out to Magic for it. But I'm internally grateful for it.
I mean, that's so fantastic. I mean, and you gotta love the fact that like looking back on it now, it's like, well, yeah, what else would he mean? But you were so like just it was so. I mean, because this was something you had shot, a goal to do, and it seems like it was almost like out of a just sort of unfolded like out of a fairy tale to have somebody who is an artistic hero then say, I'm gonna help you get a job doing this, and it's the job you wanted. I mean, that's got to be so like satisfying.
Oh yeah, like I can't. It's really hard to really put into words how it felt at the time because prior to this, now this happened in 2020. Now I have been working like trying to get into the illustration field as a whole since 2012. So this was like 8 years of trying to make something happen. So I was at the point where I was like I know I shouldn't give it up, but I was honestly thinking about giving it up. Like Smart School to me was like the last ditch effort to really make something happen. Because if not, I was probably gonna try to find something else to do. Yeah,
And what would you have done?
that's the funny thing. I have no idea.
Oh
And
gosh,
it's, so
not
it's like it's kind of like I didn't have really a plan B. Like I could get a job, like a normal job, but
yeah,
and I've had normal jobs, I just don't like them. It
right.
just doesn't vibe with me. It's not that I'm a bad worker or anything. Great worker at these jobs. It's just I have no interest in them. And so, I couldn't find when I was seriously considering about quitting, I was going in my head like, okay, what is it that you would actually want to do and commit your life to doing? And I couldn't come up with anything. So I was like, well, I mean, it's either this or nothing. So you might as well just go ahead and write it out. So that's what I did.
It's great. I mean, I've interviewed Donato, and I've interviewed another one of his proteges, Volkan Baga, who is also another magic artist,
Oh yeah, I
and
love him.
and you guys
Love him.
definitely, it's amazing because not only do I hear the similar like praises because he does have that wealth of knowledge, but you guys definitely have from an artistic standpoint there is it's sort of like it's a family, like there's artistic DNA that goes through each pieces, and you have people that come before you that influence you, and people after you will be influenced by you, and you definitely seem to be in that similar like family of art.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool too. Now that I think about it, I never actually thought about it that much, but yeah, I guess so. Because I remember when I found Vulcan Baga's work a while ago. It was quite a few years ago actually, and I was like, oh man, he learned directly under Donato. I was like, oh man, I wish I could do that.
That's so
And
cool.
back then, I was like, well, technically, I have been, so like I'm kind of falling into that vein a bit. So
Yeah, you
yeah,
are. You're definitely part of the lineage.
that's very humbling to think about.
Well, good for you. I mean, it's fantastic. And so what led to the very first piece, the rest in peace? What was the story behind that?
So after a video emailed me saying I could do that, he thought I would do great for Magic. I think it was like a couple weeks later, he sent me the art brief, and the art brief was something to the effect of a mummy on a slab carried by mummies with a white lotus on his face. The white lotus was optional, and the focus had to be on the mummy. And so with that, I was trying to figure out, since it was my first Magic card, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to do something that's really cool, like go out of my comfort zone a little bit to really grab people's attention. And so I was racking my brain trying to figure it out. And I remember a Patrick Jones painting, Frankenstein. It was a Frankenstein painting that he did. I think he got into Spectrum with it. It was like a top-down view, and Frankenstein was hooked up on a table with a whole bunch of machinery and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I could do that. Because at first I had like all the angles that I had come up with were kind of like not straight top view, but kind of to the front and to the left or front and to the right, which is usually what I normally do for compositions that are kind of like that with a lot of perspective. I was like, oh, let me try doing it that way. So I flipped it. So I flipped it a little bit and kind of ran with that idea. I was like, yeah, that'll work. That'll work. And that's what sent off the sketches, and that's the one they chose. So I went to work on it, and that's how it got done.
How long did it take you to paint that?
I want to say 5 to 6 days. That's usually about my average. About 5 to
Really?
6 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's again as a non-artist, to hear you guys say, oh, it takes me what I imagine would take 6 to 8 months, just because I mean, it's hard for somebody who is not skilled that way to, because I mean, I look at it and I'm like, well, okay, they did a line there, which would add on another 6 weeks, and then circle there, so it's another 18 weeks. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's like you get used to that kind of output, when you've been doing it for a while. And then on top of that, you have deadlines too.
Right.
So like they give you like I think the entire time frame is usually about 6 weeks. But by the time you go through the correspondence back and forth, getting approvals for everything, you really depending on how fast you get the prep work done, you usually have about 2 weeks anyway to really get the piece done. And then, well, I only had the one card, so for me, I could spend a little extra time, but it usually it averaged out to about 5 to 6 days for me. So it's just part of it. It's just part of the whole game, really. You get Once you do it for a long period of time, over years and years and years, that muscle memory builds up, and then all that knowledge that you have that you accumulated over years, it just kind of just flows out of you. So you don't really think about it that much overall. So yeah.
And one thing that's kind of an interesting sort of like tidbit about you is that you made your debut on Arena, correct?
Yeah. I
Which,
didn't. Yeah, they don't really tell you like it's going to be like. Well, you have an idea of the the world and that your piece is put in, and sometimes you can figure out what set it's going to be in, but that's not always the case. Sometimes they'll put it somewhere else first,
right,
or
like
they'll
could
just
be
put
in a
it
core
somewhere else.
set.
Like, yeah, that's how it was. I think initially when I received the commission, it was for Amaket, and
Yeah,
then when they released it, it was on Arena. So I was like, oh, okay. Like, as
yeah.
long as it got out, I was happy that it got out. So
It was in the Amonkhet remastered release of Arena, but it's cool
right.
that they took on new artwork for it, because I remember seeing it and I thought to myself, well, that's really cool. I don't remember that being printed, and I was like, I can't believe I overlooked that artist, because I would have noticed you before, and so I was kind of like looking through my stuff for the actual physical card. It took me quite a while before I realized that it was not, it didn't exist in physical form.
Right. Yep. Yep. Doesn't exist yet.
It will. It's gonna.
It
I
will
mean, like,
eventually, but
yeah.
yeah, right now it's strictly a digital card.
And then you followed it up with your goblin as well.
Yeah, yeah, that was interesting. That also showed me that just because like that wasn't even the second card that I had done. That was like the fourth.
So which other one had you done before that? Was it the Inkling one?
Yeah, actually I did the Inkling and the Goblin at the same time. That was the same 6 week period. Actually,
Okay.
I got those at the exact same time. So that was interesting to me. So there's like a whole nother piece that hasn't been put out yet that I can't talk about.
Right.
But
Yeah.
so it's like that was the first time I was like, well, no one's ever actually told me that part. Is like, well, they might release a card out of order, or they just might put it in a whole nother set or something like that. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Didn't know about that.
Yeah,
So,
it's cool. It makes it kind of fun for you, I guess, as an artist, because you're like, where's it gonna end up? I mean, it could end up.
yeah, I don't know, but I'm just happy that the cards get released. So
Yeah, it is. And then congratulations on the sales that you made for the Rest in Peace. That must have been pretty cool. I saw the
oh
Hipsters of the Coast article.
yeah, at that point that was the most I had ever gotten for any painting that I have ever done. So it was a
Oh,
great feeling.
and they got it for a steal, because I promise you, like in about 10 years, that is going to be
Yeah, it's
like,
probably gonna be worth quite a bit.
oh my
It's funny
God.
too because the person that bought it, his name is Carl, by the way. The person who bought the Rest in Peace painting. I actually am we linked up from that piece and we started doing some work together, which I can't talk about yet, but we
I
started
see.
doing some work together. So
Is he
like
an
it
artist as
also,
well?
huh?
Is he an artist as well, or is he somebody who
Uh
has?
no, he's like a producer and
Gotcha.
he owns his own company and stuff like that. So we've been doing some work together as well. So it like creates relationships outside of magic as well, which is awesome.
Wow. So that lent itself to another, like, you gotta, I mean, whenever you have an NDA, that's a good sign, because that means that they've got
Yeah.
the money to tell you to shut up, which is good. It's good.
Yeah. And it's been wonderful working with him too. So
And then you saw your first physical release with Strixhaven.
yes.
And that, did you are you gonna, like, are you excited? Do you go and you crack a pack and see, like, if it's in there? I know you get your artist proofs, but I'd imagine it's got to be even a cool experience just to pull the card sometime.
I haven't actually gotten the set yet, but at some point, yeah, I want to do that and really see my card in a deck. Like that would be fantastic. I'm still waiting on the proofs though, so I can't wait till those come in. I'm gonna
Well,
be because those will technically be the first proofs that I've gotten so far.
right,
So
because it's your
I'm
first physical
excited for
card.
that.
It's your
Yeah.
first, yeah, that's exciting. And so, are you currently? I know you can't. I know you said there's one that there hasn't been released, and I know you can't give me actually any private information about it. But are you
Yeah.
working on anything now for Magic for the future?
Oh yeah. I have man, how many pieces? I want to say there's like 8 to 10
Whoa!
that haven't been done, that haven't been released yet. Somewhere around there.
It's
It's hard to say because the ink one got released and let's see, ink one got released. Yeah, I think there's like 9 that haven't been released yet, and there's 3 that I'm working on now, and I have another one that's coming up. So I've been constantly doing work for them. So there's gonna be more stuff to come.
That's great. And I know that I know you can't give me specifics, but
Mm.
Innistrad is coming up. And I did read on your blog from 2011 that you do not care for vampires.
Yeah, I guess it was like, well, see, back then I want to say like Twilight was a thing.
Oh,
That's what I want to
yeah.
say. So that's probably why I felt that way because I didn't like Twilight at all. at all. That's a
Twilight,
whole nother. That's a whole
Twi-
nother thing, though.
it fucked up the vampire myth for so many, like for a good 5 years. It just made it.
Yeah, it was terrible. So that was probably when I was feeling that way
Yeah,
during that whole Twilight era. But I actually don't. I actually like vampires as a classical monster. Like I like those. Um, and I did do. Yeah, I have done work for. Let's see, quite a few. I want to say.
yeah, because I was gonna say you can't really avoid vampires in fantasy art.
No. Well, maybe. Depends on your niche, I suppose. But if you're doing it for magic, then if you're most likely not.
Yeah, you're gonna be like, I'm sorry, I don't take any vampires, thank you.
Yeah, and I've also done a couple of commissions with vampires in it, but they're usually like more of a classical monster kind of thing, or they'll have like a more sadistic kind of nature to it.
Mhm.
Not so much if it is has a romantic feel to it, it's more along the lines of more of a subtle tone because vampires can they kind of naturally have like a sexual component to it,
Yep.
but is they made it like Twilight made it so that it was romantic, but
And
not like
no
it was
sexuality.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
was
wasn't the same. It was more like teenager stuff, but they're like 100 and something years old acting like teenage. It made no sense to me. But that's
it's because it was written by a woman who was like, well, she's a virgin Mormon who probably, I'm just going to say, probably doesn't know a lot about sex, I'd say. So that probably is what translated, because it was just, oh, I had a cousin, she was little and she's like, we got to watch the movie, and I was like, okay, and I watched it and I was like, this is so bad. Like, not fun bad,
yeah,
just
yeah.
bad.
It's over now, so at
uh,
least
I
we
know,
got
right?
it's starting to
starting
come back together now. So
starting to heal, as it
yeah.
were. So now for your pieces that I looked at, do you use your own models for, like, say when you have to do obviously, in your still life stuff you did it for classes, but when you do pieces for other card games, do you use specific models for specific pieces?
Um Not really. Most of the time, if it's a male, I use me.
I was gonna
Uh,
say, okay.
yeah, I use myself. For females, it depends. Sometimes I'll use me if there's no one around. Uh, Other times I get models to shoot. Or I'll find like I have like a collection of reference that I built up over the years. Like like Howard Lyon, like with his reference packs and stuff like that. People who do reference packs, I buy those sometimes. So sometimes they actually fit what I'm actually doing. So I'll use those. So it just depends on the situation.
And so is that you then, the with both in the Watchers piece and the Corrupted Cultist?
Um yeah. Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay. And then, so is it the same person then in the Soul Stealer piece and the Brave and the Doomed piece? This is a blonde guy, and
Uh well, I use myself for both of those. But that was for a collector who wanted pretty much the same kind of character
I
in
see.
both
Okay.
roles. So I kind of just matched the faces on that one.
Yeah, you look different now. I don't know, blonde hair. That'd be
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of that sometimes happens. You have to shift things and all of that. So
that would be a quite a bleaching session.
yeah, if only, yeah. I can't do anything like that. But you like do stuff for a long time. You kind of make stuff up. You're able to make it up to make it believable. So and then like a lot of times if I don't, I like supplement. So I'll use me as a body model,
Right.
and then I'll get photos of men with blonde hair or people who have the similar bone structure
Hmm.
to what the assignment requires. And so I kind of mix and match my face with their face and then makes a whole new face.
And I see in the background you have a couple originals lying on the ground. Why are they on the ground?
Uh I haven't found a place for them yet.
Well, the wall, my goodness, right?
Well, yeah, but my walls are like pretty full, so I have to. And these aren't the only ones. These are just the ones in my room. I have like a lot that I have to put up somewhere because I run out of room. So I have
The
to find a place for them.
so I see that that's the awakening behind you.
Yep.
Now,
Yeah.
now that is what is the story behind that one? Because that's a haunting image.
Yeah. I get to plug something now. So that's awesome.
Oh,
Okay,
plug,
so
yeah,
the
plug away.
awakening. All right, so the awakening piece was actually done for a company that I'm a part of called Verse Entertainment. And I linked up with the founder, whose name is Brian, in 2000, and I want to say it was either 2000, either the end of 2014 or beginning of 2015. And he wanted to do a comic. And at the time, I hadn't done any comic work really. I had done like covers here and there, but I hadn't really done like any interiors. So he thought my work was really good and wanted to work with me on doing a comic called The Therians. And Therians is about a boy who is, they're pretty much like werewolves, pretty much, and they have been kind of hunted to extinction and or either put in some sort of bondage of some kind. And so the main character is supposed to, in prophecy, be the one that frees them. And so the painting is actually from the first issue, which shows kind of the origins of the Therians themselves. And uh, it's actually from a scene from the comic itself that initially it was going to be something else because I had made a previous cover for it. And at the end of it, we were like, I think we should do something else. So I thought that would be a powerful image for the comic cover. And so that's kind of what it became. And so I did 4 issues of the comic, which made volume one. And we're currently working on issue number 5 right now, and it's kind of like grown the company in and of itself. We've done stuff with Haha Davis with a comic with him. We've done something. We've done the comic with Yuck Mouth.
Right, that's
Is
nuts.
currently out, huh?
That's nuts.
Yeah. We've been grinding out here. So yeah, we've been all over the place. Yeah, like Haha with Beyond That, Yuck Mouth with Legend of Yugmouth issue 1. Uh Currently working on issue 2 for that. And we've been putting out a whole bunch of stuff
Now,
for
Yuckmouth, I always wondered if that was some sort of reference to Yawgmoth from Magic the Gathering. I'm not sure, but I always wondered.
no. He's actually a rapper.
Well, yeah,
Um
but at the same
yeah.
time, like rappers like Magic. I mean, I thought
Yeah.
maybe.
I'm actually not sure if he's into magic or not. That'd be interesting to know.
Yeah, I was curious because I was like, did he just, Yuckmouth? I was like, it seems similar. And I mean, like, at the same time, you're doing artwork for him and you're a Magic the Gathering artist, so it wouldn't be that far of a stretch.
Yeah, they actually came like completely separate directions, but yeah, that'd be interesting if he actually does do any sort of if he's into magic at all. That'd be interesting to know.
Do you play it at all, or have you learned how to play it?
No, I haven't learned how to play it at all. I haven't played it at all, and I haven't learned how to play it at all.
It's
I
okay.
haven't had the time to do anything like that.
It's okay. You're not the only one. And I always say to every artist that I talk to, it's fine that you don't know how to play if you're making art for the game. Like, that's a fair trade.
Yeah. I was always interested in it. I've watched a couple of tournaments for it, but I haven't really understood it yet. I haven't watched enough of it to really understand how it really works yet. But probably at some point I want to learn a little bit more about it, which it might help with
design and
making the
stuff.
cards as well. Like, you know how the different mechanics works, because like right now you kind of just know based off what the art director gives you for a description, and you just go off of that, and you get a reference guides and stuff like that to help make sure that the visuals are consistent throughout the world and stuff like that. But
Right. Well, I mean, we play online, so if you ever want to join, I mean, I would be the king of the Sting if I brought a magic artist in. I'd be like, you'd be like the special guest star. There'd be like bells and whistles.
oh, cool.
So now with the One Piece reconstruction,
Mm.
was that part of the moving comic as well?
No, that was for Smart School. I did a semester with Dan Dos Santos,
Hmm.
and he one of the assignments was to do a book cover for an actual book. Um, man, the name of the book escapes me at the moment, but it was an actual book that came out, and that's what it was for. Um, but I kind of well, I mean, it pretty much fits the aspect of it
Yeah,
overall.
it's really it's something to look at because there is, I mean, it's got this anger to it and this but yet this like sort of like a reckoning as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was the feel I kind of wanted to go for. That it was he is a boy that has some anger, but is strong, determined at the same time, and the whole concept of reconstruction and deconstruction and stuff like that. I think it was called. Oh, now I think the title of the book was called "The City We Become" or "City We Became."
Mm,
Uh, and so I took that title and made a concept around that. So it was like, well, you become the city that you live in, and so I was thinking, maybe either the city is dismantling and becoming him, or he's dismantling and becoming the city. Either way, kind of works.
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess it could be somebody who is either coming together or falling apart. I guess
Mhm.
it's the half water, is it half full or half empty kind of thing, which means I guess that I'm positive thinking. I saw it as coming together for sure on my side.
Yeah, like everyone has like has a different outlook on it, which is interesting.
Have you ever gotten a person that comes up and tells you like, that's not what this painting's about, this painting's about this?
No, what I try to do is I try not to actually say what the painting is or isn't. Uh, it's at least in my opinion, once the artist makes the piece, it's no longer for the artist; it's for the world.
Yeah, it doesn't belong
So
to you anymore in an
yeah, that's
artistic
like so
sense.
whatever people believe it is what it is. Because at some point we won't be here. Like you can try to defend the painting to say what it is or what it isn't all you want. But when you die, well, you're no longer there to say what it is or what it isn't. So the world then tells what it is or what it isn't.
Hmm.
So I just go with that mantra. Just I make the painting for what I think it is, and then once it's out there, it's out there. You believe what it is that you want to believe about the painting. It's all technically right because it's y'all's opinion.
Hmm.
So
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to take it. Although at the same time, I am one of those people that I am endlessly fascinated because I already have a formed idea of what I think it's about, and then I want to know what it was like, what something was
what it
in
was
mind.
originally intended to be.
Because there is,
Yeah.
for me, it's like it doesn't take. I don't feel like it takes away from what I believe it to be. I just am sort of one of those like nerds that watches audio commentaries on DVD or
Yeah.
Blu-rays. You know what I'm saying? On VHS. But I just love the behind the scenes stuff, and it's great. Like, and I loved that you were doing the the Riddick stuff you done was really cool too.
Oh man, that was a while ago.
Yeah, I like to do my
Yeah.
research. I do my research.
Wow, you going all the way back to like 2013 and everything. I was like, Because some of those pieces, I was like, what title was that again? I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that one. Oh man, I did that a long time ago. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I the Rita character is so good. It was just like, I mean, and it's when you get to see like somebody with your talent do like a take on it, it's like it's almost like another little movie.
Yeah. That
If
was during my I think I was out of school when I did that. I think I was almost freshly out of school when I did that one. That was like I was trying to find well, I was in the process of trying to find really what my look was or what my painting style was gonna be and stuff like that. So I was experimenting a lot with paint application. And I was mostly a digital artist at the time too. So
and that's what's really cool about you that I've noticed is especially because number one, you are like you're different in the sense that you prefer traditional over digital because
mhm.
you feel more capable with traditional painting, right?
Yeah. Like for some reason, which is really weird because at least with painting, because I've always was someone who drew a lot as a kid, but I never really painted. I didn't start painting until I got to art school, and even then, it's funny because during the time when I was in art school, there was a lot of like direct painting and alla prima was really a thing, and my style doesn't work like that. And so when you're trying to learn how to paint, it's like, well, you need to load your brush. They used to tell me you need to load your brush or you paint too thin. Like you can't paint with thin paint. Like that doesn't work. And I was like, oh, it was killing me. So when I actually got into digital, I was like, oh, good, I can do this now. So that's what I did. And but for some reason, I always kind of kept my hand in traditional painting throughout school every now and again, but most of my work was digitally. Out of school, when I got out of school, I pretty much was almost strictly digital for a long time. And then at some point, I don't know what happened, but at some point I was like, I'm not really feeling digital anymore like that. Cause I wasn't really, I know a lot of digital artists, they're like really into creating brushes and really trying to maneuver with the different programs and things like that. And it's like that never really appealed to me like that. Like how Justin Gerard does, like
Hmm.
his stuff, like that's ridiculous how he can do that with digital. Even though he does sometimes he like kind of does a little mixed medium thing in there. It's like, but most of that is digital. So it's like, and he makes it look like oil paint. And so I'm like, yeah, I can't do it that way. So I was like, well, maybe I should start to go back and kind of figure out this traditional thing. And then when I got back into it, I was like, yeah, I'm feeling this a lot more. So I kind of just in 2017, I kind of fully make the switch back over to traditional paint. It
Yeah,
just
and
works better.
it's interesting too for you because you are so young. I mean, a lot of times you hear more people who are older say they prefer traditional, but for you to be so young and have taken to that, it's nice. It's anachronistic, but it's also kind of it's a relief to those who would be worried that traditional art is going to be lost completely to digital. I think that's some people's paranoia that because of the ease of it and the access of it, that it might just be a lost art. But I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think so either. Because there's always a market for people to collect art. Like
Yeah.
that's always gonna be a thing. Um, like rap, like everyone that I can think of, like who likes to that has a lot of wealth, usually likes to collect art. And
Right.
so even though like NFT is a thing, I don't think that it would ever get to a point where having traditional art is no longer valuable. I actually think it'd make it even more valuable, in my opinion.
Yeah, it would actually. You're right because if it makes
Yeah,
it
like
harder to
because
produce.
especially if like the NFT really takes off in art, then a lot of artists are probably going to start going digital, especially in Magic, because at that point, if Magic allows it, that means that digital artists actually get to do what traditional artists do,
And make some money off of
and
it as well.
which
Yeah.
would make a lot of artists switch to digital. Because I know, like, some artists only got back into traditional for Magic strictly because of the secondary market.
Right, right.
And so if NFTs go into effect, they're going to probably switch back, which means there are going to be less traditional artists, which makes the art in and of itself more valuable, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I don't think there'll ever be a time where um, it just won't be viable because some people just like having art on the wall and
Yeah,
to
you
have
can't hang
that,
it can't
yeah, like there's something about having a piece on the wall that says somebody painted this by hand and there's no other copy of that painting. Like
Mhm.
once the Mona Lisa is gone, it's gone. Like
I
you
know,
can
right?
make copies all you want, but the original is gone. Like you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I bought an original Vulcan Bog. I built the vampire token from Magic, and it was my first like painting that I've ever actually purchased ever. And just when you get it and you look at the pores and the glaze and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is a thing. It's mind blowing to somebody who has not
Yeah.
seen a painting up close. I mean, even in a museum, you can't get as close as you want to like the classic pieces because people are animals. Um,
Yeah.
but
True.
you see it up close and you're just like it's incredibly cool. And it's almost like a shame to say this, but I feel like they're more powerful when you see them live. They just are. It's you can't fight it.
Yeah, there's something different. Like every piece, like when you see the piece online and everything, it's like that's fantastic. But when you see that piece in person, it's just different. The way the light hits a painting, especially if it's done in layers, it's just like a depth that the computer just can't replicate.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I agree.
yeah, so it's just like, especially if like Vulcan Baga's work, oh, I can only imagine. I've never seen his paintings in person, but I can only imagine
I was
what
like,
those
yeah,
look like.
I was getting it framed, and the girls at this framing store, she's at Hobby Lobby, and she's like, this is a really cool poster. It's hold on, wait a minute. Well, and she's just like touching it. She's like, that's not a
Oh, that's a
poster.
real painting.
I was like, yeah. She's like, this has to be the coolest thing I've ever seen working here ever. And I was like, well,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah. When I go to the museums every now and again, uh, I remember there was a Rembrandt because the Houston museum, they had a Rembrandt in town, and I went to go see it.
Do you remember which
And
one?
it was one of his self portraits.
Okay.
And when you look at it, it's like I've seen copies, like I've seen digital images of it before, but like when you go up and see it in person and you see really how textured it is, like the photographs don't do how textured it is justice. Like
Right.
that thing is literally like a sculpture almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way he sculpts the light, like it's ridiculous. Like it gives me goosebumps just talking about it. And
Right.
it's like man, like someone has something like that on their wall that they get to look at every day. It's like that's a cool thing.
It's very cool. And you know what's kind of crazy is that I heard recently that there was a family that had like they owned like a bunch of different Picassos, and now they're finally just showing them. But like for the past 30 years, they were just like in private collections. And I'm sort of like in my way, I'm thinking like, I get that you own it and everything, but you should share it a little. I mean, it's a Picasso. There's only so many. I mean, it kind of kills me
Right.
to think that there is, and there are, I'm sure, there are Rembrandts that we are never going to see because somebody owns them and owns the image rights, and we will never see them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing, man. It's like I always I mean, at some point I want to start owning some pieces, get into collecting a little bit because I started doing work with collectors even before Magic. I had started doing commissions for art collectors. Specifically with a guy named Ryan Metzger, uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and he's fantastic. By the way, let
Yeah.
me just say that like he's been phenomenal to work with, and like seeing. Well, funny story about that actually. He contacted me back in I want to say it was like 2018, like late 2018, I think, and he asked me because I had done I think I had showed Final Farewell painting. I think I had showed that a little while ago. And I think that got his attention. I'm not sure, but I think that got his attention. So he contacted me and he showed me all the pieces he had in his collection at the moment. I was looking at the pieces. I was like, wait, you you have you have a Patrick Jones
Oof.
painting in your collection. You have a Donato in your collection, and you want my work? I'm like, that don't make any sense. Like at the time, I was thinking, like, cause like you thinking, like, I'm not on that level. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you asking me for that work?
You
But
are though. You really are. You are. You're on
I,
that level.
I appreciate that. Maybe that's just the humbleness of it all. Art key, like doing illustration makes you humble. Like being an artist makes you pretty humble because how much work is actually required.
Right. Right.
So anybody who has like a high level of skill like those guys, you be like, oh, I can only imagine how much work they put in. But like anyway, so he asked me to do some work for him, and the Brave and the Bold, Soul Stealer. Uh, I did uh, I did a vampire piece for him. I can't remember the name of it. Thirst
Was
for
it?
Blood or something like that.
I'm not sure if
It
that
was a
one was
drawing.
released though, or was it the one with the skull, the
Uh,
fangs in the skull?
no. It's
Okay.
not a magic piece or anything like that. It's man. I'm
Do you
surprised that I thought I released that, but I might not have. So
do you have an image of that?
I'll look it up to see if I actually did release it.
Is if you do, I'd love to show it off here because I put the stuff up as we're talking about it in the videos.
Oh, okay. Let me see here. Um,
Because I know that there was one that I saw, or Bruce, I'm not the Abolisher, Bruce the Absolver. But that was from a game, correct?
yeah, that was a card game I had done a few years ago. I made a lot of cards for that. I think I did like 60 cards for it.
That's awesome. I mean, they're
Yeah,
great. It's great
I
stuff.
did all of those in like a year and a half or something like that. It was ridiculous amount of output.
I mean that absolving is pretty brutal. I mean, it looks like he's uh stripped them
Yeah, he
down
got
to their
played.
like flayed yeah,
Yeah, he got
everybody.
played.
Yeah, it's like it's such a lovely city too. It's like outside of a lovely castle and everything's so pretty, and then you're like, oh wow,
Uh,
they're sort of
yeah,
Wi-fied. I guess crucified would be the incorrect term because they're hanging on Y. So I just was like Wi-Fi.
right. All right, let me see here.
Okay, there's a lot of bodies hanging, and it looks like
There's a lot of different characters in there.
there
Uh,
is somebody still alive and trying to get away.
yeah, I tried to get them all into different kind of states of
Oh wow, yeah,
where they are. So
this guy's a
yeah.
nasty one. Is he based off of any particular person?
Um. Oh, I don't think he's based on anyone specific. I kind of just went off of I don't remember really because he gives pretty specific descriptions, and
Mm-hmm.
so usually that's why working with him is like, well, he makes it specific enough to where you know where to go for influences, but he keeps it open enough for you to do your own thing, which is
Right,
great.
and yeah,
But yeah, I don't remember exactly what the specific reference was for. I think he probably gave me a probably some fashion photos and probably like a model face to base it off of.
right.
It's usually how he does it. So that's
Yeah,
probably what happened.
it's great because also the hands too. You have those giant demon hands on the one holding the glass of blood.
Yeah.
It's creepy, and the way he's resting his other hand sort of like lovingly on the dead body.
I know. See, that's what I was saying. Like, there's like some sexual thing going on,
I
but it's not.
definitely, yeah,
It's
there is.
very subtle.
It is.
Yeah,
It's almost like some of the people hanging, are they hanging to be food or are they hanging because he likes to be watched?
food.
Well,
At
I
least that
mean,
was the description.
Well, yes, but at the same
Mostly for
time,
food, but you know, it could be implied in either direction. So
I
you
feel like
know,
because the
that's
one guy in the corner, hanging in the upper right hand corner, is
mm,
almost got a straight on view, and he's looking at it, and there is something sort of sacrificial sort of sexual tone, and and it may be that may be me projecting, but you know I'll project all the time. But at the same time, I will say this: you guys do all those like model classes where you have to do still lifes, and I'm like,
yeah.
that is like I think I'm too bashful. I'd be like, this is so like sexy. I'm like, these are sexy people
Oh
coming in.
yeah, like with live models and stuff. Well, that's something like I think every art student is like that at first. It's just like they're naked though. Like that's weird. Like you like I don't know how I feel about this, but then like after you know a few months of it, you be like, yeah, it's just whatever. Because like
Mhm.
at that point, it's like as an artist, you kind of look at the human body as a form of reference,
Right.
or
Yeah.
it's just something to study. Is really what it becomes. So it's something that you admire the beauty of, but not in a sexual nature. It's just an objective thing, an objective kind of beauty that you want to bring out. Or there's something specific about the person, like some aspect of them. Maybe is how their hands are, or maybe they have cool features in their face. Maybe their hair is really cool, or maybe they have a particular body that's like, oh, that would be interesting to do this or this to it, or what have you, or
I
depict
see.
this kind of part of their body or whatever. So it becomes kind of like that instead of like the shock of it.
Yeah, like I get it. I get it. I guess I'm probably just a little too just immature to ever be past that. But that's why I'm not an artist. I'm just am like a filthy degenerate that giggles when I.
Oh, no, it's not like that at all. We all were like that at some point because we just like I said, it's just all about exposure. After a while, it's just like whatever. You've seen one naked body, you pretty much kind of seen them all, so you just look at it differently at some
Well,
point
I mean,
afterwards.
I'll tell you this much: you don't see the guys and girls that are in the art classes that you see in the locker rooms. You never get to see that, but you get to see things in the public locker rooms that you're just like, oh no, no, I
Well,
don't need
models,
to.
you gotta have to have like a certain kind of. Well, you like not. I don't think anyone could be like not everyone could be a model.
Right, right, right.
So there's like yeah, certain qualifications you have to have. Well, mostly just like for holding the pose and things of that nature,
Yeah, because
really.
that's tough too. It's like you have to have
Yeah, it's
muscle
extremely
control.
hard. I actually did like some like I remember in school, there was one time where a model wasn't there, and so the students actually went up to model too with clothes. We weren't naked or anything, but we went up in there and modeled for a little bit. That is hard.
Right, because
Just for like 10 minutes, a 10-minute pose. Oh, that's exhausting. So it's
yeah, 'cause
like
it's
you have models up there for like 3 hours. I mean, they take breaks, but that's a 3 hour period of
right.
holding a pose. Some of them hold like crazy poses. Like it's a hard job. It's a
Like when
really
they're
hard job.
crouched, like the people who are crouched, like when they're on their,
Yeah.
like they're on their haunches. That's
Yeah.
gotta burn.
Oh yeah.
I
I
mean,
know like just for shooting reference, sometimes it's just like because sometimes you have to be in an action pose. And so you know your body's in a weird angle and things of that nature, and just shooting those are hard. So like doing the actual like holding that pose for minutes at a time, oh man, yeah.
yeah, it's sort of like
That's why we have a lot of respect for models and stuff like that,
right.
because that is a hard job.
It's like planking with your entire body.
Yeah, very
Well,
difficult.
that's fantastic. So, before I let you go, I just wanted to make sure: is there anything else that you're working on that you would be interested in letting everyone know about,
uh
or that you could let everyone know about? I know
That
there's stuff.
yeah, that's the thing. It's like, is there something that I can actually say? Like I'm
Yeah,
working on a lot, but I can't say much. The only thing I will say is like, uh, for those interested in the comic work, I am working on the second issue for Yuck Mouth, so that's on its way.
and
Um,
how can we see those? How can we get a hold of those?
okay, you could go to
Hmm.
versecomicsusa.com, and that'll have everything on it. every single comic book we've done, merch, and all of that. Events that we plan to go to, pretty much everything that we're up to, like that's where you go. VerseComicsUSA.com is the place to
Fantastic.
go.
Well, thank you so much for talking today. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Aaron. This has been great.
Yeah, it has been great. I appreciate it. You have a good day.
All right, you too.
You too.
Appreciate it.
So I've been thinking, how can I successfully get Jarel to join my playgroup for Commander? Perhaps I will invite him to Markov Manor, where I shall turn him into a creature of the night, where he will live forever and be free to play Commander for eternity. Did I leave that window open again? Oh crap, rain is gonna get all over my macrame. I gotta wrap this thing up, okay? So until next time, see ya. Ah, fuck. Oh, that's ruined.